Hi, Johan. Welcome back again. Do you know when you were the last time here at the AHEX FM?
Mm, must be um, early 2019.
No, it was early 2018.
Oh, really? Oh, time flies.
Yeah, this is what I also thought. So this is why I'm asking you this.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was March 2018. So it's crazy. I also thought
Okay.
that this is this year, but it was last year.
Well, not this year because that would have been only 5 days. So
Yeah, it's true. So I'm old school, so it takes a long, so half a year until I recognize that we are actually in the new year. Yeah.
yeah.
You were in the March 2018 and it was the episode number 6, and now we have the this episode is going to be right, it would be, I don't know when, but currently there's episode around 70 episodes already recorded.
Cool.
Crazy. So I hope it happens a lot to glue on HQ. So you're still working with JavaFX?
Yes. Yes, very much. So even more than before, and with on more platforms than before.
Okay. Before we dig into the delve into the JavaFX stuff, have you attended the Code One this year?
No, this year I wasn't there. That was I think the second time I missed it since 1998 or so.
Okay. And why you didn't participate at the Code One?
Um, I had a schedule conflict,
Okay.
so I still like the conference. So I mean it's not Java one in 2000 anymore, but still I think it's an important conference. But I couldn't make it.
Okay. So I also didn't make it because I forgot to submit the abstracts, which is
Yeah,
somehow crucial for a conference. But yeah, this is. So I wanted to ask how the Code One actually was. Yeah.
I
But
I I
yeah.
heard from others that it was like quote one before, I think.
Oh, really? Okay. Um. Yeah. Because yeah. I always ask myself, if we have too many languages in one conference, it's not everything is a little bit watering out. So, uh, I mean, who can attend all the talks about JavaScript, PHP? What we have, what else? Go, Rust, and Java. It's just too much stuff going on. So,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
my personal opinion would be, to have a lots of ones, like we have Go one, Java one, PHP one, and whatever one, and yeah, this could be, I think, more sensible. But yeah, who knows?
Yeah, true. On the other hand, there's also lots of other conferences, lots of content available online now, online conferences, and so it's it's moving. The subject of a conference is not the same as it was 20 years ago, and we have to realize that.
I think it is still the same if you ask me, because if I'm a Java one, so I actually Java one Code one was one of the Vue conferences where I attended the whole week, and I just forced myself. I enjoyed, to listening to the talks the whole day, and even at night. So I spent the whole day at the conference, and at night there were the birds of the feather, so the buffs. And if you don't have a conference, I mean, no one will, spend a whole week just watching the YouTube. I think it is not doable.
No, that's true. But I was like you, and you know that we attended the BOFs all night and the after parties. But I think we've always been a minority there. I think most of the people attending Java One was because that was the place where you got most of the content. BOFs were, in my opinion, very very useful, and that were really the reason why we attended the conference. But there were never 2,000 people in one BOF.
No. Yeah, but still, you had the unique chance, to. Now, what I'm going with it is not just because of buffs. I didn't attend the Java one just because of the buffs. I attended Java one, to have a really productive week. And
Yeah.
I cannot see this without being at a conference. So I think I know that there could be a place or conference, how to call it, where they just streaming the whole day for you, and you can just pick the topics, but you could no one will do it from home.
No, that's true. It's always been my most productive week ever. Well, especially when I was not giving presentations, then you attend the conference and you learn a lot and you experiment and you mingle and you learn lots of new things and you can experiment with it. And that never happens outside of such a conference. That's true.
Yeah, and what I remember, so we spent the whole a day listening to other people, and then we met usually at the after parties and somewhere, and we had a brief chat what you saw and what are the news and or news, what are the opinions, and it was a brief discussion which I really enjoyed. And without a dedicated Java conference, it's going to be pointless. I mean, because this is what I don't get. But let's see how it goes. I think in a few years the conference will come back, because this is more like how to call it, training camp, something like this, where you go somewhere and you spend 1 week to learn this new stuff, and there are speakers, people who entertain you, I would say, with the new content, and this is more enjoyable than watching in the basement YouTube or Vimeo channels.
Yeah, that's definitely true. We also have to see. It's the conference is being moved to Las Vegas now, so we'll have to see. That should make it less expensive than San Francisco. We'll see how that goes.
Okay, that could be actually interesting. Okay, cool. Now, so we both didn't attend the Code One, so there is nothing to tell. But you were very busy with JavaFX, and I got lots of questions JavaFX from my project, so I always try to redirect to Gluon HQ, where I say, okay, there is some crazy but capable guy, in the Gluon HQ, which knows about JavaFX. So what you did actually the last year and a half with JavaFX, and so what happened?
So what did we do? We focused on a number of crucial things. First of all, JavaFX is a client platform, and client means desktop, but it also means laptop, embedded, and mobile. So we focused on making JavaFX more applicable to mobile devices and embedded devices, because the client landscape is evolving. So that's one of the main focus areas of Gluon since we were founded. So that is that still is very important. The other thing that we focused on is first-class performance, and in order to achieve this, we are working together with the RoboVM team at the Oracle Labs. So we made sure that JavaFX applications can be optimized via RoboVM native image into real native applications that can run on desktop, mobile, and embedded. And from not really a marketing, but more a technical marketing perspective, we created openJFX.io, in which we try to give the basic information about JavaFX, because there's still, I think, one of the problems that JavaFX faced in the maybe 5 years ago or so was due to the image. Many people thought that Java is created by Oracle. Oracle does mainly database and enterprise applications, so there's probably nothing client related in the Java world, which is not true, because JavaFX is really client oriented. Oracle is one of the major contributors to JavaFX, but the image was not in favor of JavaFX. And I think we is then Oracle, Gluon, and many companies and individuals in the JavaFX community turned that image around. And if you look at the download numbers of JavaFX, you see that that is increasing. So more and more people and companies are realizing that Java provides a very good alternative to create client applications. And I think working on that image, so making sure that Java is not just for server and cloud development, but also for embedded mobile and client development, took a lot of energy, but I think it's really paying off now. And companies that have many Java developers working on their backends are now realizing that they can also use those Java skills to create client applications. So that is on the, well, let's call it the technical marketing side that we did lots of work over the past year and a half.
Cool. Have you chance to listen to the episode number 61 with Tony Apple about Forever Young and Java on an iPad?
61 is the only one I missed, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but you know Anton and Tony Apple, right?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. And we talk about the Duke script, and he also mentioned, we mentioned the new, and we also mentioned, the open sourcing project of JavaFX. I think it could be interesting to tell how you got to the JavaFX stuff, because so JavaFX was Sun, then was Oracle, and at one point of time you took over the JavaFX. So when was it and how it happened?
Yeah, I actually do remember that we were at a party together at the Java 1 where JavaFX was sort of announced, or so. I don't know anymore. I know that there was a magician at a party doing strange things, and so that's that was in the very beginning. And so I've always been interested in Java on the mobile and embedded client. It was always frustrating to me that I could not create Java applications for my mobile devices or my embedded devices. So we had to use J2ME in the past, and that was not really standardized. It didn't work on all devices. So I've always been interested in that area. And when Oracle acquired Sun, it became clear that at that point, and it's important to say that at that point, Oracle was not really interested in pushing Java on mobile or embedded. So the JavaFX team inside Oracle did an excellent job in making as much as possible, as fast as possible, open source of JavaFX.
Wait a second. Wait a second. What I remember is Java 1 2011. So what Oracle did back then, Oracle team, they presented JavaFX running on an iPad. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and on an Android device as well. Yes, they showed it there.
Yeah, and then it just disappeared. And this was, the moment where something happened. And I had the chat with Tony, and Tony thought probably Oracle wanted, to push their own mobile application framework over JavaFX, and this is what killed JavaFX probably back then.
Yeah, well, killed is the wrong word, I think, because it's still
not killed. It's not killed, rather than didn't support it.
Well, I was not in the meetings. I never worked for Oracle, so I don't know. I can't tell why Oracle did not continue that path, because at that moment it was indeed very promising. The first moment that they showed JavaFX on the iPad, it was very promising. But for reasons that we could not influence at the time, and we cannot revert time, Oracle did not continue in full force with JavaFX on mobile. But because I was working with JavaFX on mobile in my spare time, some people of the JavaFX team approached me and asked me if I could continue doing that when they made everything open source. So we kept on working on the mobile ports and on the embedded ports together with the JavaFX team, and that worked pretty okay. But there was a big drawback that we had if we had to do JavaFX on iOS. As you know, you cannot run Java application. You cannot run a Java virtual machine on iOS. So you needed an AOT compiler to compile the Java code ahead of time. And at that moment, there was a company called RoboVM who created a Java compiler that sort of compiled Java bytecode into native code that could then run on iOS devices. And we used that compiler to execute Java applications on iOS. And we ported the JavaFX native libraries to iOS, so we could run JavaFX on iOS. So that was the beginning of the story with with my involvement with JavaFX and how it increased. And then it was never the goal to create a fork of JavaFX for mobile. So everything that we wanted to enhance for mobile or embedded should also work on desktop. So as a consequence, we worked not only on JavaFX on mobile, but also JavaFX on desktop. And I think it's a good sign that Oracle is pretty open about this. So they asked if I wanted to be the co-lead of openJFX. So together with Kevin Rusford, who is from Oracle, I'm now the co-lead of the JavaFX. And that actually shows that that Oracle is open to contributions from the community and also open to considering JavaFX more than just desktop, but also mobile and embedded.
Question: why Oracle has still stakes in JavaFX? So why Kevin is still working on JavaFX right now from Oracle?
Well, there are a number of reasons. So first of all, Oracle still provides support to Java 8, which includes JavaFX 8. So there are customers that still need support. But I do know that Oracle also has some internal products that use JavaFX. So they need to spend resources on JavaFX. And then I cannot speak for Oracle, but
no,
I think if you want your middleware to be successful or your cloud applications to be successful, it always helps if you can guide the data from the client to the server. So if you want your middleware to be used, it helps if you control the client devices that send data to your middleware or that use applications that are executed on your middleware. So if you want to follow the flow, then you start from the client. And with JavaFX, Oracle being the Java steward, has of course easier access to JavaFX resources. So the more clients that are written in JavaFX, the more likely those JavaFX client applications will talk to the Java backend, because you need the same skills. It's Java end to end, and then you can of course benefit from all your Java middleware. So there's a clear business connection in my opinion as well.
Yeah.
There's another reason why it makes sense for Oracle to still invest in JavaFX, and that is because of what is happening now with RoboVM.
Mm-hmm. And openJFX, you mentioned openJFX, but openJFX was around for years. So is this something new, or the open source openJFX? I know it at least 5 years. Or is this something new, or I'm confusing something?
No, that's true. But so one of the first things that we did when I became the co-lead was that we created a mirror of the openJFX repository on GitHub. Mm-hmm. Because until that point, the JavaFX source code was created in a Mercurial repository hosted at the OpenJDK infrastructure. And many developers complained about it because they were used to work on projects on GitHub, create pull requests, open issues, and so. And while there was no technical reason why they could not do that on the OpenJDK infrastructure, there was a cultural gap.
Yes.
And
I also contributed some code, and this with the Mercurial was not ideal, I would say.
No, true, no. And therefore JavaFX, so we were actually a pioneer in this movement towards with the migration from the old OpenJDK Mercurial infrastructure into Git-based repositories. With Project Scala, it is the goal that more OpenJDK projects, including OpenJDK itself, will migrate to GitHub. Again, I really like that move, but it's not that it doesn't become easier to fix bugs because the code is still the same code.
Yeah.
But it's more acceptable to developers. So the image of openJFX improved, I think, because we first had a mirror on GitHub, and now the main repository is on GitHub as well. So that's it already was open source, and it was as open as it is now. The license didn't change, but perceived openness has increased.
Yeah. So just to summarize, what happened is Oracle asked you to be the steward of open source JavaFX, so openJFX, and you are the only co-lead from the community, and there's another one from Oracle, and you are both the benevolent dictators of JavaFX, right?
Yeah, sort of. Now we are the so Kevin and I are the co-leads. Mm-hmm. So that means that we decide on some features but we follow the same procedures as the OpenJDK. So with committers, reviewers, and then project leads, and so it's very clearly defined what we what everyone's role is. Now talking about steward, we also with Gluon we distribute the OpenJFX releases. So we follow the same cadence as the OpenJDK. Mm-hmm. Oracle does not provide releases for OpenJFX 11 and beyond, but Gluon does. Mm-hmm. And we work together very closely with Oracle. The release cadence is aligned with each other. But while we are the only ones who officially distribute it, there's no license violation or so if others want to distribute JavaFX as well. With Gluon, we have long-term support for JavaFX 11, which is similar to what Oracle has for Java 11. So
wait a second. So what it means is OpenJFX is more like OpenJDK, and there is the Oracle Java. This is the Gluon JavaFX, right? This would be
So the artifacts that are distributed on Maven Central for JavaFX 11.0, 12, 13, 14, and so on, they are built by Gluon, and we upload them to Maven Central.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. So nice. So I mean, now you are important guy, right? So I mean, imagine this. I remember the party, and I was also invited. I don't know whether you participated. There was a party, JavaFX party, with the rock guy. He created the electric car. What is his name? It's very famous, old rock guy from USA. You know the name? You know who he refurbished an old US car and made it electric, and he had he went through USA, and he was on the Java 1 keynote. I think it was also 2009 or 2008 or something, and there was a JavaFX party in Thirsty Bear after that.
Was it Paul Peroni?
No, he was Rocking in the Free World was one of his songs. What I said.
Oh, yeah. Neil Young.
Yes, I think, this was Neil Young.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was when, but was that in 2011? I think it was.
No, it was earlier. It was 2008 or 2009 or something like this.
Yeah, right, yes.
This was this is Jonathan Schwartz was,
he did something with Blu-ray.
Yeah, as well. And the interesting part, we are there. We are really excited about JavaFX, and now you can actually decide what's the future of JavaFX, which is incredible, right?
Yes, I'm really pretty excited about the future. And if you talk about those parties, I think it's not only me, but I hear from different people that that they are seeing something similar now, the same enthusiasm that we saw in Java in the late 90s, or is something that people are seeing now with GraalVM again. I think the combination with GraalVM and JavaFX is going to be it's going to make Java work again on the client.
Yeah. But before we go into this, so now roll back again from the technical perspective. So what you got from Oracle is the Java, I would say Java framework, which is called JavaFX, or Java-based framework, which is called JavaFX, with an alternative rendering pipeline to Swing. This is the whole deal, and it run everywhere. But in order to run on iOS, it couldn't be JVM. So you used back then RoboVM to translate the JavaFX or Java application, which happened to be JavaFX, into native code, which run more or less natively on iOS devices, correct? So like this, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. And then in one point of time, I think RoboVM became commercial, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, they got acquired by Xamarin.
Yeah.
And which got acquired by Microsoft. And Microsoft decided not to continue the work of RoboVM.
Okay, and then so it means for you it is still open source and you can use it, right? Or what was the story behind that?
Yes. So it was still open source, so we could maintain it and use it. But the main drawback was not the fact that RoboVM was acquired, or so. The main drawback was that in order to run Java on iOS, you need a virtual machine and a compiled version of the virtual machine. And RoboVM was entirely based, or almost entirely based, on the Android version virtual machine and the APIs from the Apache Harmony project. So that means that they were stuck at Java 6, 7, and never really reached 8.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a bigger issue than the RoboVM code being discontinued, because we wanted to go to 9, 10, 11, and beyond. One of the main reasons why Java is successful is the right runs run anywhere. If you have to tell developers that they have to create their application for mobile applications in a different version than the ones for desktop, then you lose the major advantage of Java.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So the major requirement that I had for JavaFX on mobile was that it should be 100% the same version as Java on desktop.
Yes.
And we would not be able to do that with the Harmony implementation that's used by Android, and that was also then used by on iOS, used by RoboVM. So we needed, the only alternative we had was, we need the very latest version of Java, and that is OpenJDK. So I became the project lead of OpenJDK Mobile, which is also a project started at Sun Oracle. And in that project, the OpenJDK classes, the native components of the core Java classes, have been ported to iOS and Android. So that is and most of the code has been upstreamed to OpenJDK, so it's now part of OpenJDK. So that was very good for providing the latest Java APIs to mobile as well.
So what you said right now is from my understanding, there is an OpenJDK which runs on ARM, on ARM CPUs, and you ported the native parts in order to run natively on iOS. This is what happened, or?
Yes, more or less. Well, it's not just me. It's also people from Oracle and other companies that contributed to it. But the code is it looks very much like the ARM ARC64 Linux port. There are some differences, of course, because Android and iOS have their own specifics. For example, file system access and so on. But it's all in the same code base now.
And why what the other people or developers did with the iOS port? So you are using this for running JavaFX on iOS. What are the other use cases, beside JavaFX? You know someone? Yeah.
That's actually a very good question. There are some members on mailing lists that occasionally ask questions and that we do not know what they are doing about. But well, you can imagine that. Well, we mainly talk about iOS and Android, but there are other manufacturers of mobile phones or mobile devices that want to use the same hardware, but they do not want to use the Android APIs, or that not want to, or that don't have a deal with Google about Android. So, and the difference between mobile and embedded is often getting more blurry, especially now with ARM64 getting more popular on embedded as well. So in general, Java on ARM64 based, Linux based systems is getting more interest, and that happens to be the OS Arc combination that's used by iOS, by Android, but also by 64-bit versions of Raspberry Pi, and so it's being used more and more in embedded. Unfortunately, those are typically not the projects that brag about what they are doing, because it's often done in security, healthcare, and mission critical systems.
Yeah, interesting. So, I mean, so interesting what you're doing. So, what you did from the strategic perspective, you set up so you started with the base. You need something, OpenJDK is the absolute minimum in order to run effectively on iOS, and Android is not a problem, I guess. And more problematic was iOS. And so you.
Well, actually, no.
No.
Android was actually more problematic, because on iOS we needed to do an AOT compilation, because there was no Java. On Android there was Java. Well, but it's sort of Java, because on Android you don't have the full Java. It's not Java 11, and that actually makes it more confusing to people if they create Java applications on desktop, and then they hear that Android is Java, so they try to run their Java applications on Android devices as well, and it doesn't work, because the Android APIs are slightly different enough to make almost every business application break.
Okay.
So therefore, we needed Java 11 and beyond on Android as well, and that was actually probably even it was harder than iOS actually.
Yeah, interesting. So, and was it you and your company, or how many people worked on that? So on porting it to Android and porting to iOS. So how big was the entire team?
What I said until now was the OpenJDK APIs. I think there were a couple of people in Oracle contributing to this, and then about 4 people from Gluon contributing to this. But apart from that, we also needed the virtual machine, because the OpenJDK APIs are just the APIs. The hotspot virtual machine, porting that to iOS would be silly, because Apple did not allow running hotspot on their devices. So we first ported the Zero interpreter, which was allowed but was terribly slow. And then the Graal project became more or less visible on the surface. So we decided to go with Graal. And as a consequence, the Graal VM native image compiler needed to be not really ported, but needed to be made applicable to iOS and Android. And there are a number of people from the Oracle Labs who contributed to this ports to iOS and Android, mainly or partially by supporting LLVM as a backend compiler in Graal VM.
Exactly. So you're using Graal VM as an LLVM tool chain, and what's on the output is a native image which runs natively on iOS and Android, right?
Yeah, so native image will compile the Java bytecode via LLVM, and then we have a component that's called Gluon Substrate that will compile everything. So the virtual machine with the classes, the native code that we get from OpenJDK, and the native code that we create at openJFX, together with other required libraries into the final executable for iOS or Android.
So what happened is, so you get like Substrate. You mentioned Substrate, so you get almost a tree shaking like functionality from JavaScript, right? So what will happen is all not needed classes will be skipped and is only shipped what is really needed, right? So the image will be fairly small.
Yes. And we don't only do that for mobile, but also for desktop. And there we can compare. The image is indeed much smaller. It's typically less than half of the size of what you would have without using this AOT.
So just a guess. So the entire a Hello World JavaFX app is around, let's say, 60 megs. Everything.
I think we have 12 megs at this moment.
12 megs?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I thought, you need more because you have, some assets like images or whatever, but yeah. And the next, what interests me with JavaFX, have you also provided some visual, or how to call it, visual controls? I mean, JavaFX ships with UI components. So have you provided a new component? So what happens on that front?
Well, in openJFX itself, we provide the basics that, the basic controls.
Mm-hmm.
But more important, I think we provide the framework that allows others to create their own components.
Uh-huh.
So there are, of course, the standard text box, button, label, and then the shapes, rectangle, and so those are the things, and things like list view, table view, and so. Those are the things that are provided by openJFX. But in almost every project, at least in big projects, the end user wants to create his own component,
mm-hmm.
his own controls, and it would be impossible to come up with an openJFX release that contains all the controls that would ever be needed by anyone in any project. So the focus is really on making it easy for third-party developers to create their own controls on top of openJFX. So we often get the question, what new controls are you going to add? But we're very careful about adding new controls because one of the other key criteria for JavaFX is maintainability. And if we would now decide that we need, for example, a floating action button in JavaFX, then we commit ourselves that in at least 6 years from now, we will still maintain that control. And we will, and maintaining means that we want to guarantee that it runs on all the platforms that we do support now, which is, especially in the UI landscape, a bold statement.
Mm-hmm.
So we are careful that whatever we do in OpenJFX should still be relevant and maintainable in 6 years from now. And as a consequence, new fancy controls is unlikely. It's unlikely that you will find those in new OpenJFX versions.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you look at, for example, what Gary Grunwald is doing with TilesFX, and so he's creating new fancy controls using OpenJFX. So our primary goal is to allow companies and third-party developers to do what they want to do with the OpenJFX APIs.
You said TilesFX, right?
Yes.
Okay. And are you aware of the web components in HTML? Web standards?
Yes.
So
more or less, yes.
Yeah. And is it something similar in OpenJFX? So if I would like to create, my own custom control, is it something new, or what was available at Java 8 JavaFX times?
So, no, that's whatever we have now. So the approach to develop controls is still at a high level similar to how it was before.
Mm-hmm.
A few things have changed because of the modularization. So the separation between skins and controls has slightly changed. but it's not that we took a new approach here. However, there are third-party frameworks that do take other approaches and that allow for dynamically creation of new components, or even in creating entire frameworks in different languages. For example, TornadoFX is a Kotlin extension to JavaFX with its own ecosystem, and that's totally fine. And we're listening to all those projects, and if there's something limiting them from doing what they want to do, we do consider adding it in openJFX. For example, in controls.fx, they were running against some restrictions of the new Java modularity approach. And as a consequence, we, after long discussion with the owners of controls.fx, some of the APIs in JavaFX were changed, but not drastically.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned TornadoFX, TilesFX. So what other exciting project you see? So can you mention a few on what they are doing?
Other projects that are built on top of openJFX. For example, Dirk Lemmerman has a bunch of open source projects and also commercial projects like the FlexGrantFX charts. He actually there was recently in Zurich the JavaFX days in beginning of December, and there were about I think 12 companies or so, or maybe even more, that showed what they were doing with JavaFX, and that was pretty amazing. There's a video online about it, but there are scientific companies, medical companies, financial companies that all created extensions to JavaFX, mainly for internal usages. Some frameworks are open source, for example, FXYZ, which is a 3D framework that allows more scientific 3D rendering using JavaFX. I have an own JavaFX framework that allows to render quantum computing circuits. Mm-hmm. So it's in many different areas, many different companies and individuals are creating their own extensions. I would love to see.
How many attendees they were at the JavaFX conference in December, roughly?
It was sold out, I think, and that was so there was only one room, so I think it's maybe 70 people or so.
Yeah, but still, I mean, this is still a lot. I mean, this is a specific topic, so it's cool.
Yeah, well, if you look at the downloads of JavaFX, so we still distribute Glue on Scene Builder, which is the extension, the continuation of the Sun Oracle Scene Builder, which allows designers to create JavaFX applications with the Scene Builder tool. And we have about about more than 30,000 unique downloads every month from Scene Builder. And so those are new developers every month.
So 1,000 per day.
About 1,000 per day. Yes,
it's also crazy.
And those are really new developers, because we don't make too much new releases if it's not needed. So that's more or less how we calculate. We also make the occasionally the download numbers from Maven Central public. And for example, last month there were more than 60,000 unique IP addresses being downloading JavaFX artifacts from Maven Central. And we see the same number of IP addresses downloading the JavaFX SDKs that we distribute with Gluon. So it's definitely not a small market.
So in the last 1.5 years, you mainly focus on GraalVM integration and make available JavaFX to run everywhere on all devices with the same code base, right?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. So I think this is achieved, and I thought about JavaFX a lot, and what I think what can happen in favor to you is, I think Apple is already thinking about having ARM CPUs on desktops, and they have the A10 chip, I think, and A12, and there's actually no reason to keep them in mobile space. They could actually make it available on desktops. And this could, be something interesting for JavaFX, because then you can program, natively JavaFX applications, which runs on Apple, right?
Yeah.
This is interesting. And I don't know whether you are aware of. Do you heard about React Native or Ionic?
Yes.
And for me, the modern JavaFX with Graal is very similar to React Native or Ionic, except you are using native Java, right?
Yes. Yes, we're using native Java. No web. So JavaFX still has a web view, of course, so you can use web content, but the rendering is not done in the browser, but directly on the GPU.
Yeah.
And the logic code itself is compiled in the native. So the combination is extremely gives a very high performance, very fast startup time, and low memory footprint.
Yeah, so it will be similar to Flutter then. You know Flutter?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Java version of Flutter. And,
yes, and I think, that's important. They say it's the Java version of, what you can discuss about it. One of the main key differentiators for JavaFX is that it is Java, which means that there are 12 million developers capable of creating apps into it. You don't need to learn something new. You don't need to learn Flutter, Dart, Go, or whatever language. If you know Java, you can create mobile apps, embedded apps, client apps with just one language. And I think that's one of the huge advantages and possibilities that JavaFX has. It's very hard to start with a new language now, and to get critical mass, to get a critical number of developers, especially if that language needs to be secure, mature, multi-threaded as well. And that is all the advantages that Java has been providing for more than 25 years now. You get them for free if you use JavaFX and create client applications.
Because I think the perception is a little bit wrong. So what I hear in projects, JavaFX, we don't need JavaFX, we do web. And I do a web a lot with web components and web standards. This is I just killing JavaScript frameworks and replacing them with web standards. But what we are actually doing is a boring, enterprise apps. And in one point of time, you cannot be as fast and as well integrated into operating system as a native product can be. So if we can build simplistic apps, so my approach is good enough. But in one point of time, you cross the line and see, okay, with you can build an offline app with HTML5 of web standards, but in one point of time you will need a native app. And now you have the choice. I think it is not viable to create a native iOS app and native Android app, and because you will have spent the time twice, and you have to maintain. You have two code bases. But if you are competing, now with Flutter, Ionic, and React Native, and you proved already that you stick with the project for multiple years. The problem with all the crazy JavaScript stuff is it moves too fast, and you have a lot of breaking changes. In the worst possible case, Google or whoever will just drop the projects, and then you are completely lost. And this was and this was my fear with you and JavaFX, but you are sticking for a long time, and now you are the co-lead of the project, and there are already multiple companies which invested heavily in JavaFX. So I would say the chances that JavaFX actually disappears are lower than something like React Native, Ionic, or Flutter disappears, because they are also, for instance, Flutter is a large company, Google is behind. But if they find out, they don't need Flutter anymore, they will just drop it. And now the question is whether the community then will step in and support Flutter. But in JavaFX, it is already driven by community. So, we already proven that it is on the market, and it's getting more and more popular. So for you, there is a less and less reason to drop the support. It is even more likely that if it becomes even more popular, someone else, in parallel to Gluon, let's say Tony Apple, or whoever will just step in and also provide commercial support.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think people were a bit afraid a few years ago that Oracle would or could kill JavaFX, but JavaFX is bigger than Oracle, and even Oracle is still contributing heavily and increasingly in JavaFX. And that's indeed different with other projects where one company can kill a technology. Oracle cannot kill JavaFX. Gluon can also not kill JavaFX. It's fully open source. Their licensing is very safe, so that it cannot be killed. And then also it's being used more often than many people do realize. Unfortunately, lots of things are below the radar. But I'm not worried about JavaFX being not being developed anymore in the foreseeable future. So yeah, I do agree that, well, compared with the JavaScript frameworks that people now use to create hybrid mobile applications, the future of JavaFX is much more stable.
Yeah. For instance, I don't know whether you already did something with Angular. So there's the new Angular framework, and they have semantic versioning, and they have 2 major releases a year, and potentially they could introduce twice a year, breaking changes. So and what really happens is, so in my project, so some of my clients used Angular, and I did some security audits. So if you wait for too long, for a few weeks, you get, I don't know, 70, 100, a few hundreds security issues where you have to upgrade, actually. So you will have to upgrade the framework all the time. And so for me, it is also a risk, that you have to have a budget to keep your framework upgraded all the time. Otherwise, you won't pass, the political correct security gateway because you have some issues in the framework. And JavaFX is more stable, and with your strategy, you say, okay, we will keep the platform stable. There are just minor breaking changes. Oh, by the way, how many breaking changes you had in the last few years? You know that?
So when we moved from 8 to 9, so with the modularization, we had some breaking changes.
Of
but
course.
Apart from that,
but as everyone had with the JPMS, everyone had breaking changes, right? Yeah.
But apart from that, no.
When was it?
And I think.
When was it?
Sorry.
When was it? From Java 8 to 9? When it happened?
Well, see, I even didn't know when was the last time that you interviewed me. So we can calculate back because it was the 6-month cycle that started with 9. So
yeah, a long time ago. More than 2 years.
Yeah. So and there are no foreseeable breaking changes in the future. Now, if you talk about Angular, I actually did some work with Angular in a very long time ago, and then indeed when Angular 2 came out, I had to throw away everything. And I think it's mainly marketing. So there are definitely very, very many cases where a website or web solution is the best approach for a project. Definitely. On the other hand, people often underestimate the long-term maintenance cost.
Yeah.
If you indeed have to rewrite your whole application because there's a new JavaScript framework or there are so many security holes and the project is not maintained anymore, then it's getting very, very costly.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do it in native Android and native iOS, and those are known for making breaking changes. So it's 2 new platforms with different skills, and it's very expensive. And there with Java, I think Mark Reynolds showed a Hello World or Hello Swing application a few years ago at Java 1 that was working from day one, and it is still working. So it's with Java, it might be bigger upfront investment, but the total cost of ownership, if you are committed for maintaining your project for at least more than 6 months, then it becomes easily cheaper with Java than with web frameworks that you need to update very often.
Yeah, no update. I'm pretty sure that it's actually JavaFX is easier to install than Angular. So I don't know whether you tried,
Also.
recently to install Angular. It is like 25 to 35,000 JavaScript files are going downloaded. Takes forever. And what's interesting to me is, what if one of the files changes and you cannot build the application anymore? So, for instance, can happen. And so this interesting discussion, but I think the problem is, or the not the problem, the issue is, you cannot position, or you should not position the JavaFX against Angular. We should position, JavaFX against Flutter, React Native, or Ionic, and this is complete different story back then, because we have, as you said, we have Java. Then we can build your true native applications. And this is completely open source project, backed by, Java people who are around for 20, 30 years.
Right. Yes, I agree. I don't like the so-called competition with HTML, because that's a different world.
Yeah.
And for some things, the web browser is perfect, and for other things, native applications are better. So that's a never-ending discussion that I don't like.
Yeah, I mean, the discussion is simple, right? Because if you have just HTML, you rely, the browser is the VM, and whatever the browser provides, this is what you can use. And you have to be a little bit careful that all the browsers provide this. Otherwise, you are stuck with one browser. So you have a subset of functionality, which is growing but is not native. So, and with JavaFX, you have native access, so sky's the limit. By the way, can you actually access is there a way to access all the sensors provided by the device? So if you, let's say you have I don't know, there is iOS comes with a new sensor, let's say, I don't know, temperature sensor. Can you just access that from JavaFX in a proprietary way?
Yeah, so what we have for this is we have a project Grown Attach, which is an open source project in which we attach the native devices, the sensor from the native devices, with a Java API. And we have an increasing list of services that we support, for example, GPS, accelerometer, device rotation input, and so on. So, and when there's a new sensor, we provide the native code that talks to the hardware, and then we use JNI to provide the Java API for this. And that is actually this approach is also often used in many commercial projects that I know, in embedded systems, for example, where you have a kiosk system with an NFC reader or a card reader or some hardware that's being attached. And there JavaFX is often the number one choice because of this easy integration between the Java layer and the native layer.
Yeah.
And that is very well possible on embedded devices, but also on mobile devices. And that's much harder if you need to do that with a web application. If your website needs to access a card reader, for example, in a secure way, dealing with all the certificates and so on. Well, that is where Java was created for. So that's why JavaFX is very often the first choice there.
Yeah. To give you a concrete example, so recently in a project, someone asked me, we have specific devices, and can we have to port from some Windows stuff to what? And I say, okay, if it's just UI, we could just try with web components and SPAs. And they ask me, can you access? We would like to read the QR code. And I say, yeah. Now we are talking, right? So I could access the camera probably from web standards, and but this is. It could work, but it doesn't have to. And if you have native access to the operating system, I mean, more things are possible.
Right. And what an approach that we've seen a number of times now is that initially companies ask, can I have a website talking to this native card reader, for example? And then the answer is, of course, no. But then JavaFX has a web view, so you can open the website that's already been created. And then in JavaFX, there's this API that allows you to interact with the JavaScript running in the web view. And that JavaScript can then be connected to your Java API that's talking to the native device.
Mm-hmm.
So there, JavaFX and Java act as a bridge between the native functionality, the card reader, the QR reader, and the website. What we see in the second phase is then that the customers are typically so happy about this approach that they gradually replace the website that they just render in the web view with native JavaFX components. And finally, they have a fully native Java application on those embedded devices.
But how I can access from browser, from JavaScript, your JavaFX code? So how this would work?
So the web view component in JavaFX
yes
allows you to render websites, and also allows you to hook into the JavaScript, so you can inject JavaScript in the web.
Well, I will have to use the web view, JavaFX web view, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Question: have you upgraded the what is it? The problem was it was a little bit older than it should. So is the web view upgraded? Is this already Chrome based, or what is it? You know this?
Yeah, the WebKit is. We update the WebKit pretty often, and the different components of WebKit, so the XSLT processor and the CSS parsing, and so are updated about once every 3 months or so.
Okay.
So with the latest releases, there are many bugs fixed, memory issues being fixed, and so that is one of the things that often get updated in between JavaFX releases, yes.
So are actually web components supported? You know that?
I don't know.
But this could be really interesting, because then you could even use the JavaFX as a replacement of the Apache project, which I forgot how it's called, from Adobe, which was donated from Adobe to Apache, Cordova,
yeah.
This should be... This has to be really important for you, to provide web component support. And I think it should be possible because Safari has web component support or custom element support, and this is WebKit based. So I think probably it also works in your case.
Yeah, I'll make a note. I'll definitely check it out.
Because this completely opens the door to complete new kind of applications where I can, use my web components, web standard app, and use, a JavaFX as a app store shipping stuff. This is what the React Native and the others are doing, and then I could just run my standard web standard application and have access to whatever you can provide me. So this could be a really interesting story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What other cool projects do you have? So we have the Gluon Attach. Any other scene builder? You said this also is it open source?
Yeah, Scene Builder is completely open source,
mm-hmm.
So that's used for so designers mainly use it to use a drag and drop interface to create JavaFX scenes and applications.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very popular one.
Mm-hmm.
I think Gluon Maps is something that we have as well, which provide a tile rendering map engine, which is very useful in mobile applications, embedded applications, but also desktop applications. So that is an interesting as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Gluon Cloud Link, which provides the interface between the JavaFX client applications and the functionality in servers and clouds, integration with serverless functionality, and so there we take the concept of the JavaFX binding API one step further. So we bind the data or the functionality in the cloud to the user interface in the on the client.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And people can just buy support directly from your company for all the open source project, right? On how it works. So
yes.
How you earn money?
Yeah. So I said that. So we distribute with Gluon. We distribute JavaFX. We're currently at 13.01. 13.02 will be released soon, and then in March we will release JavaFX 14. Now, for companies that want to stay on a long-term supported release, we have JavaFX 11 long-term support. So we, for those customers, we backport a number of changes, bug fixes, security fixes, and so into the JavaFX 11 line.
Mhm.
And we distribute builds of, we're currently at JavaFX 11.05. And that is being distributed to JavaFX 11 long-term support customers.
Mhm.
So that's one revenue stream. And the other is Glue on Mobile. So while everything really is cross-platform and totally using the latest OpenJDK and OpenJFX, we have a library that provides controls that are mobile-specific, that make it easier to make your applications having a mobile look and feel. And that is Glue on Mobile. And that's a commercial product. And then Glue on Cloud Link, which links your application to the cloud, is a commercial product as well.
So it means that what I can buy from you directly, so it's just this mobile framework, Glue on Mobile and Cloud Link. This is two products where you can directly buy.
And the JavaFX long-term support is also something that you then buy an SLA actually.
Yeah, and the other projects I would just buy support for the projects, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and how long is the support, the LTS?
Yeah. So the standard long-term support is 6 years that we have with JavaFX 11 long-term support.
Yeah, great. This is actually a great story. So what I think what the future really is, to position JavaFX against the React Native, Ionics, and the others ones, because using comparing JavaFX to web components or HTML apps is completely different use case. I would say there are some intersections, but JavaFX is more powerful than HTML is, and with HTML you can very very quickly create a table without anything. But you have just a table, You don't have a sensor access. You don't have nothing. So yeah, that's the difference. Okay.
Yes. So it's indeed, and so don't think websites if you think about JavaFX, but think about mobile devices, embedded devices, medical devices, car systems.
Yeah.
Think about all those devices where Java, security, stability, maturity, and maintainability are important. That is, and combine that with RoboVM native image, so that you get the best performance. That is where JavaFX can really make the difference.
Cool. Where people can find you, give you money or whatever.
If you go to gluonhq.com, that's our website, and there you find more information about the products and about what we do. And my Twitter handle is Johan Vos. So that's how people can contact me.
Yeah, perfect, Johan. So hopefully see you or hear you soon, not after 1.5 years, but you should do it more frequently. But it was really interesting, to see what you achieved.
Always nice catching up with you.
Okay. Instead of Code 1, we will meet, in the basement and talk via mic and the earphones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll find a way.
So, happy new 2020, by the way.
Yeah, same to you.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, bye.